Okay.
That was just a test, right?
No, that was the real thing.
Oh, wait. I thought you were just going to try one. Sorry.
I meant I was just going to go for it.
My bad.
No,
I
no,
thought
it's
you were
my bad.
testing.
Let's go back in it.
What's up and welcome to another Kinda Funny Screencast. This time we are doing a spoiler-free review of Antman and the Wasp, Quantumania. Of course, I'm Tim Geddes and I'm joined by It's Christmas in February. Happy Valentine's Day, Joey Noel.
Woo! Valentine's Day. That's all I got.
And running the show today, we have the big dog, Kevin Coelho.
Oh.
So last night we were lucky enough to see a screener of Ant-Man 3. And of course, we do a show called In Review where we rank, review, and recap a bunch of different movie franchises. It all started with the MCU and it's going to continue with the MCU. This Friday, we'll be recording our episode and posting that, of course, getting it into all the things you'd expect us to out in review and ranking it against the rest of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, a multiverse even. Some might say.
Say that.
But this one is just spoiler free. It's just going to be our top level thoughts. Of course, we're not trying to ruin this experience for anybody. We never are trying to do that. So we're going to try to be aware of all that. Having said that, if you don't want to know any single thing about this movie, you shouldn't have clicked on any video about it. You know what I mean?
This is the wrong place for you to be.
Stay away. You can come back later.
But we appreciate the view.
Yeah. But if you just want to hear some conversation of people definitely trying their best to not spoil anything, you're in the right place. And that place is right here on youtube.com/kindafunny. You can also get it as a podcast by searching your favorite podcast service for Kinda Funny Screencast, and we'll be right there for you. Some cool stuff's been going on in Screencast land, Joey.
Oh, really?
The last
Tell me
couple
about
days.
it.
Fast 10 trailer breakdown.
Oh,
That's out. You can go check that out. A Super Bowl trailer
menagerie.
where Nick and I reacted to pretty much all the major Super Bowl trailers. That's up. You can check that out now. In review land, our Magic Mike's Last Dance review is up.
I'm so happy for you all to be able to watch this movie.
Exactly. And yeah, just great times
Last of Us?
overall.
There's a lot of stuff
Last
happening.
of Us. Yeah, weekly breakdowns there. And like I said, we're getting Antman and the Wasp, Quantumania in review later this week. And then next week kicks off the road to Creed 3.
I'm so excited. I've never seen any of the Creed movies. I'm excited to jump in now. This seems like the perfect time.
It is definitely the perfect time. If y'all haven't seen Creed 1 and 2, change your lives, everyone. Prepare yourselves for Creed 3, March 3rd. But enough about all that. Today we're brought to you by Shady Rays and Honey. If you don't want to hear their ads, you got to go to patreon.com/kindafunny, just like our Patreon producers, Trent Barry, James Hastings, Colin Huguenel, Casey Andrew, Nathan Lamoth, and Trent Barry have done. So let's get into it. Again, spoiler-free thoughts on Ant-Man 3. Joey Noel, what did you think?
I liked it. I didn't.
Trepidatious like.
Yeah, I didn't love it. I really liked it. Paul Rudd as Scott Lang is just so enjoyable and so likable that I think that elevates and carries a lot of the movie. The plot super
Like a worker ant.
Exactly, can carry like 700 times its weight. The movie like plot is actually like pretty straightforward. Like it's not like anything super crazy. And I think it's fine. I think IMAX movies for me are a little bit hard. We saw it in IMAX last night. Because there's so much happening at all times that it's like a little bit hard to focus. This is like a very obviously CGI heavy movie, and I think that kind of takes away from it a little bit and is a little bit distracting. There's just so much that's going on. I think Catherine Newton is really fun. I really like her. I do feel really bad for the other daughter, the other Cassie, that like had to find out that she wasn't going to be able to play this role, but I really like her and everything I've seen her in so far. She's in Freaky. She was in
Pikachu.
Yeah, all that stuff. I think that she's a really fun addition to this crew of people. Michael Douglas, I like. Michelle Pfeiffer, I think, is like kind of fine.
Oh wow, okay.
And like I'm a diehard Michelle Pfeiffer fan just from Grease too. I know, classic. I think they're fun. obviously we have to talk about Jonathan Majors.
Oh yes, we do.
Incredible. Like he could read me the grocery list. He could read me anything. He's so fun to watch in this. I'm going to say that I think this is the most fun villain we've had easily since like Killmonger, I would say.
And if you want to watch them fight, Joey, do I have the movie for you?
Oh man, it's coming up soon. So yeah, I think there are a lot of good performances. I think it seems like to me, it felt kind of inconsequential. Like a lot of things happened, but I don't know that like all of them needed to happen. I don't know. That's kind of where I'm at. I think for me, it ranks very like solidly in like the middle of my Marvel ranking of like, it was fine.
Yeah.
How are you feeling?
You know, I'm really disappointed to say
Ooh.
that this one's not my favorite.
Yeah.
And going in, when they were first talking about this movie, I had very high hopes, obviously, it being the beginning of Phase 5 now, the reintroduction of Kang, the introduction of Kang the Conqueror. Mm-hmm. A lot going into this, and I've actually really liked the previous Ant-Man movies, and especially doing the rewatches. I feel like I appreciate those movies more and more every time I rewatch them. I love how funny they are. I do love the cast of characters, but especially the supporting cast of characters that the Ant-Man movies have had. And I like how weird that they can get. I like the unique action choreography that is allowed based on the getting small, getting big, all of that stuff. And they've done such creative things over the last, I don't know, what, 5 to 7 movies that Ant-Man's been in.
Yeah.
Including the Civil War and the Avengers movies. Did you hear that?
Yeah. I don't know.
Jib made some sounds.
Yeah, don't worry about it. Jib.
All right, cool. Okay, cool. Definitely sound like the Jib was
like,
gonna.
was there an earthquake?
Gonna die. But okay, sorry. Getting back on track here. I walked out of this movie, and it's the first MCU movie since Eternals, which I guess wasn't that long ago. But before that, I think it was Thor: Dark World.
Ooh, yeah.
That I walked out of and like, I don't want to watch that again.
A
theaters.
definitive.
Yeah.
I don't want to watch that.
Yeah,
again.
and I can't believe I'm saying that about an Ant-Man movie, and especially the beginning of Phase 5 with Kang and like Jonathan Majors, all that stuff. And I'm bummed about that. I now 12 hours later, I still have that same feeling where sometimes that's changed. Like I remember even watching Thor: Love and Thunder and watched it the first time. I was like, I enjoyed that, but I need to watch it again to really know what I think about it, like where I rank it and like how good it is or whatever. And the more I think about that movie, the less I like it overall. I still think it's very funny. With this one, I'm like, I have tickets for Thursday and I'm going to return them.
Ooh, I feel like that's a rare Tim Geddes take.
It is, and I'm kind of bummed about it. Now, having said all that, it's not bad.
No,
it's really not bad. It's just, for me, I think it's ill-placed more than anything.
In terms of like starting off Phase 5 or? In
terms of starting Phase 5, I'm a little okay with that. The phases are a little weird anyways. Yeah. Like, what's the difference between 4 and 5? Who really cares? They are clearly building something, which I appreciate, but I'm somebody that's seen what they've been building for a while and not really complain too much about that because I understand what Phase 4 needed to be, and I enjoyed most of those movies. Mm-hmm. Do I enjoy them as much as Phase 3? No, I just don't. And I think that that's okay. I appreciate that the MCU is in a place that it can be weird as shit. And that this movie is weird as shit. It's different. And you know, like, it's such a trite thing to say now, like, oh man, it's the most different the MCU's ever been. I'm not going that far.
No.
I will say this is the most Star Wars the MCU's ever been.
Oh, 1000%.
And your mileage
take that
may
how
vary
you
on
want to
that.
take that.
Yeah, exactly. And you know, I think it's, in my opinion, it's a good thing in some ways. It's a bad thing in others.
Yeah.
My biggest problem with the placement of this movie is there are events and things that happen in it that some majorly consequential and some a little bit more just this is for the plot of this movie that I feel had this movie come out later and we've been introduced to some other characters and concepts earlier, everything would have hit a lot harder. Things just kind of happen in this movie and it all adds up. The plot, like you said, fairly simple, but there's a weird just moviness to it that I just didn't appreciate. Like, characters are like MacGuffins and just things save things and things happen and you're like, huh, like, I guess that works. But a lot of the fun that I appreciate about Ant-Man 1 and 2 is just not in this movie.
Yeah. There are some things which Kevin and I have talked about, like on our car ride home last night, that I don't know that I like or care about the quantum realm that much, because it does just kind of seem like there's all these things that we can make happen because of this that if you think about too hard, don't really make that much sense, but they kind of seem like they make it a little bit overly complicated. Like something to me, it's like, oh, you're in the quantum realm. Maybe it's too spoilery, but
it's rough. It's hard to talk about some of the things that we don't like most about this movie.
Yeah. But even just like a top level thing where it's like, oh, there's a lot of things going on in the quantum realm, but somehow everyone is just like, I think this is where it gets into Star Wars territory, where it's like, everyone can just like breathe whatever this like atmospheric thing is. And it's like that stuff like that kind of like pulls me away, where it's like, it doesn't really seem like that would work, but that's where I feel like you can't really think too hard about things.
Yeah, I will say that the things that you really expect to be strength in this movie are Jonathan Majors is awesome as Kang. Can't wait to see more of him. Paul Rudd's Paul fucking Rudd. Like legitimately, he's just so charismatic that no matter what he's doing, it's going to be entertaining. But I think that once you get a little bit past them, easily this is my least favorite supporting cast in an Antman movie. There's some major misses in my book on things that I would have liked to have seen, and like the Wasp might as well not be in the title of this movie.
It's wild.
It's pretty bad.
Yeah. Just not a huge factor in all of this. I agree with this. Other than Catherine, I do like Catherine Newton and Michael Douglas in terms of supporting cast. In terms of new faces that we're getting, I liked a lot of them, but I think that a lot of them were underutilized to what I would have expected based on especially based on like Ragnarok, where we get this whole supporting cast of characters and they're awesome. I had that kind of same expectation for this with the way that they set it up, and I feel like it is a very different use of them than that.
Yeah, it's hard to talk about these movies because we get 4 of them a year, and that's just on the MCU side. Mm-hmm. You also add the DC ones, you also add the Elseworld, you also add the this and the that, and then the boys, and like we just get so much of this and so much of it really good that for us to be impressed by a Marvel movie, it needs to stand alone by itself. It needs to connect to the things before it. It needs to set a path for the future. It needs to have genuine surprises. It needs to have a bad guy that's sympathetic. It needs to be funny. It's like so many expectations that we're all like, yeah, it has to be all those things. And I think that we're just at such an impossible time to be able to actually hit all those things. But they kind of set this movie up with that promise that they were like, this is the one. Yeah. And it's in my opinion, definitively not the one.
I agree. Yeah, I think it doesn't help that they've hyped it the way that they've hyped it. So people are going in with higher expectations, I think, than you would normally go into an Ant-Man movie. But I do think that this was like a miss for the way that they've been talking about it. There are some really cool moments and stuff like that, but I think too, now having to balance in all of stuff from the shows, like I feel like we're just getting a lot of Marvel, and so it all kind of starts to feel the same when you get as much as we've been getting. Yeah,
and I have a lot more I want to talk about. I want to hear Kevin's thoughts as well. But before we do that, let's take a word from our sponsors. Shout out to Shady Rays for sponsoring this episode. Look how cool I look. You too can look this cool. Our friends at Shady Rays have you covered from the sun to the slopes with premium polarized shades, customizable snow goggles, and so much more. Shady Rays offers the most insane protection in all of eyewear. Every pair of sunglasses is backed by lost and broken replacements. If you lose or break your pair, even on day one, they told us they will send you a brand new pair, no questions asked. They'll also provide 10 meals to fight hunger in America with every order and have donated over 20 million meals to date. That's fantastic. There's no risk when you shop with Shady Rays. Their team always has your back. Exclusively for y'all listeners and watchers right now, Shady Rays is giving out their best deal of the new year. You can go to shadyrays.com and use code KindaFunny for 50% off 2+ pairs of polarized sunglasses. Try for yourself. These are 5-star rated by over 200,000 people. Again, that's shadyrays.com. Use the code KindaFunny. Funny. Shout out to Honey for sponsoring this episode. Honey is the easy way to save when shopping on your iPhone or computer, and thanks to Honey, manually searching for coupon codes is a thing of the past. And we all know there's nothing better than the feeling of saving money. Honey is the free shopping tool that scours the internet for promo codes and applies the best one it finds to your cart. When you check out, the Honey button appears, and all you have to do is click Apply Coupons. You wait a few seconds, you see the fun little dancing guy. Honey searches for coupons, and it finds you the best ones. And then you just watch the prices drop. We here at KindaFunny have been using Honey for years, and it's helped us save thousands on tech, costumes, food, you name it. Honestly, I just love how easy it is to just set and forget and save. That's the best part. Honey doesn't just work on desktops, it works on your phone too. You just activate it on Safari on your phone, you save on the go. If you don't already have Honey, you could be straight up missing out. You can get PayPal Honey for free at joinhoney.com/kindafunny. That's joinhoney.com/kindafunny.
I keep forgetting this ad cuts like that. It freezes at the end and cuts like that. Maybe we should look at that.
Yeah, one of my favorite things ever just happened where Kevin was counting down for us to go back, and he goes 10, 5, 3. I love that sequence of numbers. Kev, what did you think of Antman and the Wasp: Quantumania?
I enjoyed it.
Oh my god.
I enjoyed it. I thought it was fun. I think it had key fun moments with characters that like they were revealed in the trailer. We don't want to get into who like those characters are, but it was cool what they did with that. Maybe they went too far, but the parts that weren't too far, I think were really solid. I also had some minor issues with like Michelle Pfeiffer and like her motivation in certain scenes where it's like, this is not how normal people act. And like that kind of, whenever there's a character that does that, it really takes me away from the moment. It pulls me out of the movie. I thought that certain character, I liked a lot of it. I think that at the end of the day, this is a mediocre Ant-Man movie, and like Ant-Man movies have never been in that like top tier of the Marvel movies. So it's kind of, I wish we had gotten more out of it. And I also am not a fan of the Quantumverse and the like, hey, the rules are whatever, and their lack of explanations on certain things. So, you know, I feel like it all kind of evens out to a very okay movie. Kind of sad, like, Phase 5 is starting this way. I wish we got a little bit more. I wish it was, it got me more excited for this Phase 5 that we're embarking on. But, you know, it's an Ant-Man movie at the end of the day.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
Yeah, and I guess that's one of my bigger bummer things. It's like it doesn't feel like an Ant-Man movie in a lot of ways. Like I think that it feels more like a Star Wars movie and like in vibe. And Star Wars and Ant-Man aren't necessarily the two things I'd like to mix together. And I feel like even in the personality of the movie, like I love the score to the Ant-Man movies. I've talked about it so many times. I love how the score itself can get big and small to match the moments and be funny, be epic, be so many, like be sneaky. Like it's so great. And the theme is in this movie, the same score, same composer and everything, but it just feels generic sci-fi action stuff. And I think that the generic sci-fi action is what the quantum realm is in this movie. This movie doesn't feel like Quantumania.
No.
It feels like into the quantum realm. Like,
yeah.
You can feel me on that?
100. I feel like it is a very like baseline linear story for something that has Quantumania in it. Like there's not as much like kookiness or like out of kind of left field stuff that you would expect from that.
Yeah.
I like sci-fi space stuff is like, even I don't know what it's not space, but whatever. Is also like very much not my vibe. So I think that also adds to like why I didn't really.
Yeah, and even more for me, taking the Ant-Man-ness out of it, like not just the comedy side, but I was talking about the action choreography, where because they're just in this giant CG world, the scale of being big and small doesn't have context to us. Yeah. So like the moments of Thomas the Tank Engine hitting them in the first movie, or the Wasp fight scene in the kitchen with the knives, and like, I mean, any fight scene in those movies, there's like a level of cool, unique things. The sense of scale is so out of whack. They do cool stuff. I'm not trying to say they don't. They definitely do. But it never feels quite like there was multiple moments where I was like, oh, he's big now.
Yeah.
It was like, oh, I didn't get that.
Yeah, that's so interesting because like you're totally right. Where like he's fighting something big, and like suddenly it just feels like he's fighting something the scale of things doesn't make sense until like you see it from the perspective of one of the people that's with him that's still regular size.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, I guess it's big, but it does lose that fun factor of like running on the blades or like all the cool stuff that they did in the previous ones.
Yeah.
That's interesting. I hadn't thought about that, but like you're right.
I also feel like Ant-Man was big for a lot more of this movie than any other movie.
He's so big.
Which also makes it less fun if that's like a high level use case for it. I don't know.
I'm okay with that because we see the progression where it's like I feel like we're seeing a more seasoned Ant-Man in this, and like we've seen now that he's been able to go big and maintain it for longer periods of time. So I appreciate that, especially in the context of being with the family and like seeing like different people's power levels. But I do think that like we're sounding really negative on this, and like I stand by everything I'm saying.
So much of the stuff that we liked, we can't. Really
and that too. But I enjoyed the movie. Like I definitely did. I had a great time watching it. Like the entire time, it's well made. It's enjoyable. It's like fun. But it's just, you know, we watch these things with higher expectations than just being engaging. Yeah. That is kind of just the standard we go into. But it does hit that. Like beginning to end, there wasn't a single moment that I was like, oof, when's this going to be over? It was like, oh, I'm totally here for the ride. I just kind of wish the ride was a little bit different, and I wish it came at a different time. Like, I feel like if this exact movie had come out when Black Widow came out, maybe that might even be a little too soon. But like right after Loki, Loki, I think it would have been very, very, very like, oh wow, that's pretty damn cool, and then we're building something. This feels like it's a little late for this movie to be coming out. Yeah,
I don't disagree. I will say this movie is also, I feel like we haven't really talked about it. It's still very funny. Like, oh yeah, we laughed. My favorite part is going to these and hearing like the ripple of laughter of like Andy and Nick were in front of us, and then you and Kevin were like to the left of me, and so it was just like to hear the different points of this movie of like, oh, I 100% expect Nick to laugh at that and stuff like that. Like, there are some very funny parts in this movie.
Laugh out loud funny. And I think something that's unique about this movie compared to any other Marvel one is that this one is funny because they're making jokes, but then it's also funny because you're laughing at it because things are just so bad and so bizarre, but they know it. They're in on it in a weird way where it's not just like, oh, the CG looks bad. They know what they're doing. And I think that they played with it in a very funny way.
Yeah. It's definitely, we're laughing at it with them because they're like, oh.
Yeah.
I agree.
But yeah, funny movie, some cool stuff. Jonathan Majors again is really great. Like I don't know where I put him on the Ragu Bagu list because it's like it's really great. It's just I don't know that it's like an all timer. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I think it's definitely better. Like he's the best out of the Ant-Man villains.
Who was the villain in the second one? I was having a conversation with someone about
Ghost.
this. But that Ghost wasn't the villain, right? Like, Ghost was being used by her father?
Yeah, remember, villain, like, antagonist. She was the antagonist.
Yeah. But there wasn't anyone higher, like, bigger than that? Like, the government,
well, her father's big because he's Goliath. But, but he wasn't bad. Everyone's just looking out for themselves. They're trying a bunch of shit.
But
there was Sonny Birch.
Trying to catch Ant-Man? Was that the plot of it?
No, that was just the cops.
Oh, yeah, you're right. And they also had the fake ant. Like, doing everything, right?
Oh, my God.
Oh, my gosh.
That is so funny. Yeah, I mean, let me put it this way. The bad guys in Ant-Man 2 are, like, in our F tier on our Ragu Bagu.
Oh.
So it's bad. Darren Cross in the first movie, Andy was the only one that truly hated him. I don't think he's, like, that great, but, like, but on the rewatch, Andy admitted his sins.
Oh,
yeah, really?
Yeah, he's come around. He's not that bad, is what he said. Which I agree with. He's not. It's like whatever. So yeah, I mean, he's definitely the best Ant-Man villain. Like that's not even a question. I think that it's a it's a higher tier for sure.
Yeah.
I just don't know if it's like S
It's
tier.
the highest. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think you have to balance the performance and then the villain
Yeah.
itself.
Yeah. And also just like the plot that villain has to work with.
Yeah.
And I think that's the thing that brings down this iteration of Kang in any way. And I don't even think it's that far down. We'll talk about that in review though, right? And I'm trying to think what else we can talk about that's not going to spoil anything. Yeah, Evangeline Lilly was in this movie, I guess.
So briefly.
Yeah, I didn't like her at all.
Yeah, I will say I don't like her with short hair, which is like such a dumb nitpicky thing.
It's not nitpicky. It's,
Or like an inconsequential thing to like what this movie actually is.
yeah.
I don't like her short hair, and that's it.
But yeah, overall, like I'm sad that Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, this movie in particular, I left feeling this way about. Looking at the future, I guess what do we have?
We have Marvels.
So next up's Guardians 3
That's crazy.
in May, and then July is the Marvels, and then in between that, we're getting somewhere
season 2?
Secret Invasions first,
okay.
which I think is going to be May, and then Loki season 2 is going to be summer, and then
We got What If season 2 coming.
that's
year?
delayed.
Oh,
That's
delayed.
2024,
Nobody needs it. It's fine.
Yeah, not my favorite.
and there
Secret Wars
was
Armor
Secret
Wars?
Wars 2025.
Oh.
Yeah, Blade, I think was supposed to be this year, but then it got pushed back. Am I missing one? Is there a November one this year? I don't know. I don't think so. I think it got pushed back.
Tell us in the comments if you missed one.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see where all this goes. But yeah, let us know in the comments how this affects your excitement for Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. Your thoughts on the MCU at large or small. Anyway, I love you all. Goodbye.
Bye.